Welcome to Legacy and Leadership with David McKean. In my 20 plus years in the business world, I have noticed a common theme amongst all my clients. They're phenomenal leaders who are concerned about leaving a legacy in three main areas: community, family, and financially. Join me as we talk to proven leaders in their field about their specific ideas behind legacy and leadership. I am super excited about today's guest. We've got UMS-Wright head coach Sam Williams joining us today. Coach Williams is a 2009 graduate of Northwest Rankin High School in Mississippi. Coach Williams was a standout multi-sport athlete competing in football, soccer, and track. He continued his football career at Mississippi State University as a wide receiver while earning a degree in Clinical Exercise Physiology in 2013. He later pursued a Master of Arts in Teaching Secondary at Mississippi State University, reinforcing his commitment to education and mentorship. Coach Williams began his coaching career at Northwest Rankin, where he coached football, soccer, and track. In 2017, he led the school's soccer team to a 6A state championship before taking his first head coaching football role at Pelahatchie High School. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, Pelahatchie. You gave it a heck.
Over 3 seasons, he won 2 district championships and made a significant impact on the academic success of the athletic department. In 2020, Coach Williams took the helm at Ridgeland High School, which is 5A in the state of Mississippi, guiding the program to the North State Championship for just the second time in school history. His success led him to Brandon High School, which is a 7A Mississippi high school, where he spent 4 years as head football coach and athletic director. Under his leadership, Brandon secured 4 district championships and 3 South state titles, firmly establishing the program as a powerhouse. With an overall coaching record of 82-24, Coach Williams has won an impressive 77% of his games, capturing 7 district championships and 3 South state titles in just 10 seasons. Remarkable, Coach. His teams lost only 1 district game in the past 8 years. Beyond the field, Coach Williams is a devoted husband and father. He married his wife, Rachel, in 2012, and together they have 3 children: Caroline, who's 9, Catherine, who's 8, and Luke, who is 6. And if you have the pleasure of taking in a UMS-Wright practice, Luke has a headset, which I love.
So he's just gearing up. And he throws the football about 9 million times a night.
I love it. He is adorable. So he is too cute. But welcome, Coach Williams, and thank you for taking time out of your schedule.
I've never had such a lofty introduction, so I don't know if I'm quite that interesting, but I do appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah, well, glad to have you. So, Coach, I've known you for a few months, and one thing that I have noticed for sure is, from my perspective, you're extremely organized and a hard charger. Can you talk a little bit about maybe where that comes from in your background and why you do those things still today?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm almost like fearful of being underprepared. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so, most of my life I've, been in positions and, been blessed from a very young age to have, some leadership positions, whether it be as a player and then as as an assistant coach and then as a head coach. And, everything you do, you always want to be able to look at kids at the end of the day, win, loss, whatever. You want to be able to tell them, hey, man, you were in as good a position as you could possibly be. You want the people that are underneath you, your assistant coaches, to feel the same way that you prepared them and gave them every opportunity. So I think a lot of organization is preparation, and preparation is leadership, making sure that everybody knows what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And, I've always prided myself in that as being ultra prepared, super organized, paying attention to the details, but also being able to adapt within those. Because that's the thing that, keeps people great, keeps people marching forward, is when you can continue to grow and develop and adapt when things get tough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So was there a point in time in your early leadership career where maybe you weren't as prepared as you are these days, that you got caught by surprise that made you that way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, I could point to just any one thing. I think every year you kind of learn a little something about yourself, right? You do something, or you have a moment where you're like, man, I've got to do a better job of preparing for those scenarios or for that situation. I think being an athletic director for as many years as I was kind of prepared you for stuff like that, because you're always preparing for something to go wrong before it goes wrong,
Sure.
right? Because it's just one of those things. You got so much going on. You're trying to do so much planning. You're trying to give so much information to people,
Right.
but it's a constant. I used to tell people my day was 25% what I planned and 70% what I did, 75% what I didn't. Just because at the end of the day, you've got so many things that moving parts that can go wrong. And so
Sure.
I don't know if it was necessarily any one moment or thing, but just always trying to be a planner, always trying to, look ahead and look at what could happen down the road. And, that's coaching. You focus on 1 week at a time, but you also have to have a long-term vision of
Sure.
what if this happened? What if this guy goes down? What if we need to move this guy here? What if we need to play this? And so that's what you always have to do.
Coach, you've made a few stops along the way in your coaching career. How has a new environment and new people challenged your leadership skills along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think the term I would use there is just like having a lack of familiarity. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, when every stop I had been before, there was some connection I had that gave me a sense of comfort. And right when I stepped in the door, I would, know somebody that was in a position of power, whether it be my boss or
Sure.
somebody that was a coworker. And I think coming here, just having absolutely no tie, no connection, really just picking up, moving my family from my bubble that I'd known my whole life to
Yeah.
here really challenges you as a leader, because you have to be confident in who you are, confident in what you're doing. But more than anything, in those moments, you have to lean on the thing which really matters, which is your faith, which is God, believing that you're going where
Yeah.
you're supposed to go. And that's what I've done. I think that it took an extreme amount of faith to come here.
Sure.
Like I said, to get away from everything I'd ever known, be away from my family for the first time. They'd always
Sure.
been able to, hey, I'm having a tough week. I can go drive down on Sunday and go see my dad, 10 minutes
Sure.
away and talk to him and look at him face to face. But, now having to step out, having to go to a place that you're unfamiliar with, and, not having somebody that's known you for years, known who you are, known your character, you got to really be about it. You got to continue to show people who you are.
Absolutely. As a leader, that can be really tough to make those difficult decisions to move your young family away from extended family members. Can you talk a little bit about how you wrestled with that as a leader, and maybe some of the thoughts and steps you went through to make that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think professionally, obviously, if you preach that you care about people, and that you love people at work. I mean, it was obviously people. That was kind of things that got lost in the shuffle when people think about moving. Is there's 118 kids and 12 other coaches that I was really close with,
Yeah.
not including administrators, community members, and all that. So, when you think about those people that kind of get lost in the shuffle of your family,
Sure.
I mean, that was my extended family,
Right.
and so that was really tough initially, but as parents, we always want what's best for our kids. And,
Sure.
I had gotten to the point where I felt like maybe if there was an opportunity and there was something that came up, I would explore it. And when I got this opportunity, it just felt different than any other one I'd ever been approached about. When it came to the education, when it came to the development of the child and development of kids, I don't think I'd ever seen a place like this. And
Wow.
that was the draw to get me in the door. And then eventually that was the draw that made me pull the trigger, was just seeing my kids in this environment and interacting in the environment and knowing that I could provide something for them that probably otherwise I may not be able to.
For those that may not know, Coach Williams succeeded a local historical figure in some aspects. Second all-time winningest high school football coach in Alabama state history is who Coach Williams succeeded. Can you talk a little bit about that? And as a leader, did that give you pause at all to stepping into this role?
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, obviously, I think a little bit of that probably was good for UMS-Wright, and that I didn't have a ton of familiarity with Coach
Sure.
Curtis. And obviously, when I started exploring and doing my research, found out a lot about him. Talking to people down here, just how good of a coach he was, and had the longevity that he had to stay in power. But no, I mean, I was never. That was never one of the things that factored into my decision as far as
Mm-hmm.
can I take over for a guy that's been there a long time. I've been a head coach since I was 24 years old, and believe in the programs that we've built and the body of work and what we've done. So I wasn't, that wasn't one of the things that was on my
Sure.
on my list of factors. But with that, it was kind of coming in and understanding how was Terry able to stay here for so long?
Sure.
That was one of the questions, that I asked him, and a lot of questions about how he ran things and how he did things. But it's like a guy down here told me when I got here, he was like, do it your way, and that was one of the things that I've been very aware of is protecting some traditions that I thought were really good and really cool, uh, molding some to be the way that I would like for them to be, and then establishing new things, right? And so
Sure.
I think it's been a cool blend of seeing how, if you've been around here a long time, maybe some things have been the same, and then some
Right.
things are like offensive football may be extremely different, right?
Right.
But it's all the same, right? It's all coaching, it's all leading, it's all football. Everybody does it a different way, but there's a lot of different ways to get to success.
Absolutely. One of the things that I have been impressed by is you have quickly established a leadership team within the varsity football program in and of itself. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that and why you chose to do that and how you went about that process and what the future holds for that leadership team?
Yes, I think if you want to run a super successful business, organization, football team, soccer team, it doesn't matter what it is, you fill in the blank. You've got to have levels and layers of leadership throughout your whole program. So when you look at a team, you have your team members, kind of that. I tell people a lot of times you may not be in a leadership role, but you always need to be chasing one. Whether
Sure.
it's down the road when you get into a business, or whether you're a sophomore right now or a freshman right now, and you're growing into that, you're kind of establishing a baseline for leadership within your program by how you run it. And then above them, you have a leadership team that is essentially at different ages and different levels of your team or your organization. They're mentoring those guys, right? I mean,
Okay.
that's their job is they're getting fed a little more than even the normal guys are. Then you have your captains, which are kind of your top 2 to 4 guys that,
Right.
they're, again, we're taking another step up of what your expectations are of them, how they should interact, how they should be with the team. Then you have your coaches, and then obviously you have your head coach. And, everything's got to be from an organization that runs successfully. The core values and the alignment and the discipline, the accountability have got to be top down and bottom up. And if you don't create layers and you just have a group of people that are going around, then you never have those layers of accountability. You never have
Love
those
it.
layers of discipline. And so that's what I've always tried to do with my team is create those layers. You have subgroups like we do with the mentor groups that kind of break off of that. And that's more about just establishing relationships with people that you
Sure.
otherwise wouldn't do that with. But all of that matters in growing an effective team because you're giving guys, even though they don't know it a lot of times, you're giving guys ownership and you're giving them leadership abilities before they even have them.
So is that curriculum, if you will, is it strictly about continuing to reinforce the values and the disciplines that y'all have from the top down, or is it teaching them other leadership skills, or both?
I mean, I think kind of just talking about kind of how I've looked at it. So I do a full school leadership, which is like all athletics, and it's more general leadership skills.
Love it.
We started off talking about the right way and taking the school's, core values and how we're going to parlay them into leadership on the field and off the field. And then usually within our team, it may be a book study that I use different principles and chapters to relate to what we're doing right now.
Wonderful.
It may be something that I've developed, but generally it tries to align with what are we going through this week? What are we going through this week? What are we going through this week? Because I want them to always get live feedback on how their leadership is.
Mm-hmm.
So usually, like I said, a part of it is, hey, here's a concept, here's something interesting that may pertain to leadership and what we're doing, but here's what's going on. Here's what I need you to work on, what I need you to fix, and what I need you to look for in the coming weeks. So,
Sure. Do you find that these young men are eager and receptive to this process?
I think so, and I think here, especially when you have high achieving kids,
Sure.
they really do love that because here's the thing about football, right? Like, and it's something that a lot of more kids need to understand. Like, football's not always going to be there. Football may not be there after you graduate high school,
Right.
but the things you learn from football, the leadership skills, the hard work, the discipline, the accountability, the belief in each other, those are things that when you become a professional one day, when you become a parent, when you become a husband, those are the things that are going to really help you be successful in life. And that's what I always, we were having a little coach's devotion this morning, and I was talking about, I was like, that's what I struggled with when I was early on in my career is it was so results based, right? I felt like
Right.
everything I was doing always had to come back to the final result. But the longer I've done this, I've realized that the results really come and they're a byproduct of how you live every day and how your kids live every day and what your kids pour into each other and how your kids prepare. It's the process, if you may, of what you do. And so I've leaned so much more over the last couple of years into the process of development, the process of growth, and the process of a season. And the results have spoken for themselves. We've had some really good years because we haven't worried about 10 weeks down the road. We live today, we live this moment, we live this practice, we live this week. And that's really been a great mantra for the programs that I've been a part of.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Legacy and Leadership with David McKean, and you're able to take away proven tactics that you can implement in your day-to-day life regarding legacy and leadership. If you have questions or ideas for future shows, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at 251-648-6461, or you can email me at legacyandleadershipgoal@gmail.com. Thanks so much for joining us.